What's up guys, my name is Mike of Coed Gaming, and today I'm going to do something that I've never done before on this channel, and I'm going to talk about something that seemingly does not relate to gaming at all, but you know what, a lot of other gaming websites talk about this, so I think it's time that I started talking about it too, and that is wrestling. More specifically, WWE, and even more specifically, WWE Roadblock, which was just a few days ago on Saturday, March 12th. Now, before I get into it, I just want to give everyone some background about where I stand as far as wrestling goes, considering the fact that I've never talked about it before. I have been a longtime wrestling fan since I was 4 years old. I've been following wrestling ever since. I've never even taken a multi-year break. I've always followed wrestling in some capacity. Now, there's a lot of other YouTubers that talk about wrestling, YouTubers like Delexman, Good Mike Work, Don Tony and Kevin Castle, Solomonster, all of these YouTubers talk about wrestling and they do a damn good job talking about it. And considering how passionate I am about wrestling and how I always have my own ideas as to what they could do differently or how things should go, or whether or not I'm actually happy with how things did go, I think now would be a great time to throw my hat in the ring and talk about some wrestling. Especially because we have WrestleMania right on the horizon, right at the beginning of April, and Roadblock just ended, seemingly setting the stage for WrestleMania. So I want to go match by match, talk about what exactly we saw at Roadblock and what it could possibly mean for WrestleMania. I have mixed opinions about Roadblock, considering the fact that I went into this show not expecting a lot, considering that it was just a network special, and these shows tend to be nothing more than glorified house shows. And in a way, that's what I saw. I saw what seemed like a glorified house show, but at the same time, I also saw some really good matches, some really good storytelling. Now, on the other hand, I saw, at times, some disappointments. I don't want to waste any more time. I want to get right into it, so let's start with the first match on the card. The first match on the card was New Day defending the tag team titles against the League of Nations, being made up of Sheamus and King Barrett. You know, I gotta say something about the New Day. When they first debuted, what was it, maybe 2 years ago? I'm not really sure how long they've been around, considering the fact that I just didn't pay attention to them when they first showed up. When New Day first debuted on the roster, they were a gospel group, and they were the complete opposite of over. It was very clear that what they were, the gimmick they were given, was not resonating with the fans. I don't know how they did it. I don't know how much of their current gimmick was backstage politics or just them being given creative freedom, but I gotta say, New Day are some of the most entertaining guys on that entire roster. When they come out there and Xavier Woods has that trombone and Big E starts dancing and Kofi Kingston, I mean, I love Kofi Kingston as a wrestler, but I feel like he needs some more comedy material to work with, because it just seems like he's just kind of there. I mean, I love Kofi, don't get me wrong, I love Kofi as a wrestler, and I love him in the New Day. I just feel like whenever all the three of them are cracking jokes, Kofi seems to come out the weakest. That's not to say that he's bad, he's just the least good. They're all good. As they're cutting their promo, they start talking about the League of Nations, and they start talking about how they're all booty, and Big E drops to his knees saying that he doesn't want to eat his Booty-O cereal, and right before that, Xavier Woods pulls the curtain back and reveals just that, the Booty-O's cereal. I don't know if this is all the three of them in the back writing this stuff, because I just can't imagine the WWE's current writers coming up with something like this that is that over with the fans. These guys never seem to know what the fans want to see. They never seem to, week after week, do things that the fans like. But whenever it's New Day, they always hit it out of the park. That's why I have a feeling that New Day actually have a big hand in writing the stuff that they show off out there. And when Big E drops to his knees, he says, "I don't want to eat my Booty-O's," and Kofi assumes the role of Big E's dad, and he says, "Now son, what did I tell you would happen if you don't eat your Booty-O's?" He says, "I'll be a king without a kingdom like Barrett. I'll look stupid like Sheamus." And then when Xavier says, "Well, what else?" Big E says that they don't have anything for Rusev. They didn't come up with anything for Rusev. I think it's hilarious. I think it's so hilarious how the three of these guys come off completely naturally. They never seem like they're wrestlers reading off a script on a show. They never do that. They always come off sounding so genuine, so legitimate in whatever promo they cut, even in their matches, you have Xavier Woods out there with the trombone, heckling the other wrestlers, getting the crowd behind them, and these guys are supposed to be heels, and yet they're the most over tag team in the WWE right now. I gotta say, that takes a lot of skill, and I gotta give New Day credit where credit is due. These guys took a gimmick that was giving them go-away heat. Not even negative heat, just go-away heat. They didn't even want them in the building, did the fans. Now, whenever the New Day's music hits, the fans pop hard, and that is something that is very hard to do in WWE. It's hard enough to get over in WWE with all the backstage politics that go on. But then you have a team that is given a gimmick that is god-awful, nobody likes it, and then they turn it around and they become the most over tag team on the roster. WWE, you need to make sure that you do not let any of these guys go, you do not let any of these guys slip, and you keep those tag belts on them for quite a while, at the very least until WrestleMania, because whoever they drop the titles to has to be the heelest of heel teams, and that's the funniest thing. I wonder if WWE still thinks that any team that they go up against is considered a face. New Day is a face team now. They are full-blown babyface as of last night. I'm recording this on Sunday morning. Look, the League of Nations is not over. They are a heel team. New Day is also supposed to be a heel team, but after the performance we saw last night, there is no debating that New Day most definitely are baby faces now. So, New Day did an excellent job with their promo. Very happy with what I saw from them, as always. So, onto the match with League of Nations. This match, I gotta say, it was good. It was what I would expect from New Day. I've never been a fan of Sheamus. In my opinion, the guy has a limited moveset, he does not have charisma, and yes, I agree with the fans when they say he looks stupid. Wade Barrett, on the other hand, I absolutely love Wade Barrett. I loved what they were doing with him when he was in the Nexus angle all those years ago. I wish they didn't drop the ball with him and relegate him to basically jobbing positions for the next few years until finally he gets a gig with this king gimmick. I've never liked the idea of a wrestler being a king. I didn't like it when they did it with Booker T. I don't like it now that they're doing it with King Barrett. It just doesn't work. I know it's supposed to give off this idea of I'm the king, so I'm really cocky and I'm supposed to be hated, but in 2016, when you have all these wrestlers that pride themselves on being genuine wrestlers, when you have guys like Sami Zayn, when you have guys like AJ Styles, when you have guys like Neville, all these young guys that just pride themselves on being damn good in the ring, and then you have this goofy king character come out there, it doesn't resonate with the fans because it seems so forced. When you compare it to the guys that we see in NXT, and even some of the guys on the main roster that are just damn good wrestlers that don't need this stupid gimmick attached to them to be over, King Barrett just comes off looking forced. Now, with that said, I've always liked him in the ring. I thought he had a very unique style. I love the fact that he was, a brawler. I love the matches that he put on. I thought he put on great matches with the Nexus. I think he can still put on great matches now. Problem is, he's just not given enough time to shine with the League of Nations. He's been basically weighed down in this, no pun intended, in this tag team that, again, is not over with the fans. Sheamus is not over to begin with. Rusev can be over if you bring Lana back into the equation, because as we all know, everyone loves Lana, and they're actually engaged in real life, which I'm sure Vince McMahon is still has a chapped ass about that. But King Barrett, on the other hand, if he was broken off from the League of Nations and allowed to prosper on his own, given time to build his character, to cut promos, hell, they could bring back Bad News Barrett, and he would actually be better off. That gimmick was actually over, but it seems like that's never going to happen, considering the fact that Wade Barrett is going to be leaving WWE very soon. So we're never going to get that Wade Barrett push that we wanted to see, and we're never going to see Wade Barrett as a main event player. And you know what? I think he could have been. So back to the match itself. The match itself was excellent. New Day came out with the win over the League of Nations. This match actually was for the tag team titles. I forgot to mention that. New Day actually was defending the titles against the League of Nations. It was not a non-title match. In my opinion, New Day needed to win this match for a few reasons. One, it's right around WrestleMania time, and if New Day is going to drop the belts, they need to drop it at WrestleMania, considering how long they've been champions. And the other reason is the League of Nations are just not over. So if you had the New Day a tag team with so much momentum, all the momentum in the world going into this match, if they dropped the titles to the League of Nations, a team that gets go-away heat and nobody wants to see, especially knowing then that they'd be defending the titles every month at pay-per-views, nobody would want to see that. The League of Nations, like I said, I'll say it a million times, they're not over. And when you have the titles go from a team that is over to a team that's not over, it's not going to do good things for the title. It kills the momentum of the title. It certainly kills the momentum of the team. And do we really want to see a New Day League of Nations feud? No one really wants to see that. The only thing that we'd really want to see is Xavier Woods and Big E cutting promos on the League of Nations every single week, because that's more entertaining than a League of Nations title run, in my opinion, could ever be. After that, we had an awesome Chris Jericho promo. Now, keep in mind, they were in Toronto for Roadblock, and Chris Jericho comes out, and I'm thinking, what the hell is he going to do? Is he going to come out as a heel? Is he going to come out as a face? I mean, he just turned heel on Raw the previous week against AJ Styles, so I have no idea what they're going to actually do with him. I don't know how he's supposed to build heel heat in his home country. I mean, he's going to go out there, he's going to cut a promo, he's going to talk shit about his own country, and the fans are actually going to boo him? I just didn't see that happening. I saw Chris Jericho going out there, trying to get over as a heel, but yet he's so over as a babyface, as a hero in Canada. I thought the promo was going to fall flat on its face, and it actually did not. Chris Jericho did a fantastic job of tearing into Canada. He even did what a few wrestlers do. A few wrestlers do this, many wrestlers don't do this. They picked on small chants in the crowd. So whenever like a group of fans try to get a chant going throughout the audience and it doesn't happen, the wrestlers almost never mention it. Chris Jericho, on the other hand, heard a chant brewing and shut it down as quick as he could for heel heat, and it was fantastic. A few of the fans in the crowd were chanting, "We want Brett," and Chris Jericho said, "You want Brett? You're never getting him again." I mean, there's a good chance that a lot of the fans in the crowd didn't even hear that chant happening, but just the fact that he said that you're never getting Brett again, another Canadian hero, immediate heel heat for Chris Jericho. We even got an asshole chant for Chris Jericho. I mean, we also got one for Vince McMahon a little while ago, just a few days ago. I mean, this is amazing that WWE is actually allowing these asshole chants to go through and not turning down the microphones for the crowd. They're actually letting it resonate. Now, I don't know if they're actually allowing it or just it's so loud that they can't control it, but my God, WWE is really pushing the envelope when it comes to what they allow on a PG show. The fact that they allow asshole chants, to me, that's a big step in the right direction. And if they were to, just get a little bit edgier, just a little bit more mature, and after WrestleMania, who knows, if Shane McMahon actually beats Undertaker, we could actually see that. Not holding my breath, but it could still happen. So Chris Jericho finishes up his promo, calls Toronto the anus of Canada. I mean, I was expecting a Chris Jericho match. I wasn't really hoping that much for a Chris Jericho promo. I'm not a big fan of promos on specials or pay-per-views. I feel like that stuff should be saved specifically for Raw and SmackDown. Those are the shows where you build your story, and the pay-per-views and the specials are where you have the blowout matches. So I was getting worried that there actually wasn't going to be a match with Chris Jericho. Thankfully, I was wrong. Jack Swagger makes his way down to the ring, challenges Chris Jericho. They have a pretty decent match. I wasn't really paying much attention to this match at all because I was thinking he was going to have a match with AJ Styles, and then I remember that WrestleMania is right around the corner, so it only makes sense that they have that match there. So he has a match with Jack Swagger, taps him out with the walls of Jericho. Wasn't really interested in the match to begin with. Not a whole lot to say. Good match though from Chris Jericho. Great showing by Jack Swagger. Let's move on. Our third match of the night was the NXT Tag Team Championship match between Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy versus The Revival, Dash and Dawson. I absolutely loved this match. In my opinion, up until this match, this was match of the night. In my opinion, whenever I see NXT wrestlers on a WWE show, they steal the show. These guys are fantastic. Enzo Amore has charisma for days. Colin Cassidy, being a big guy and still being able to move around, that's something that I'm sure Vince McMahon has to be loving. He loves his big guys. He loves his larger-than-life superstars, and Colin Cassidy is definitely one of them. And then you have The Revival, Dash and Dawson. I mean, that name, the Revival. They are reviving the tag team division of old. And you know what? They did a fantastic job in this match. The build up to this match, if you're watching NXT, is fantastic. Enzo and Cass have been missing the NXT tag team titles for so long. They've never been able to, as Triple H would say, grab that brass ring. They've been doing this longer than anyone else, as Enzo Amore so eloquently said in his promo. They come out there to thunderous applause from the crowd. These guys could go anywhere and the crowd is gonna pop for them. These guys are over as over could be. And with that said, so are the Revival. As heels, these guys are fiercely over. I love these guys. What I love so much about them is what I love in the negative sense about Enzo and Cass. What am I talking about? Enzo and Cass, they come out there and they put on a show. They interact with the crowd. They get the crowd pumped. They have the crowd be part of the chant. They have them do part of their entrance. They make the fans part of the show, and they put on a show. They're entertaining in addition to being great in the ring. The Revival, on the other hand, while they're equally great in the ring, they don't bother with that. They come right to the ring. They clash the belts against each other. They get in the ring. They rip off the towels, and they say, all right, let's fight now. That's what I love so much about them. I love the fact that when the Revival comes out to the ring, they remind me a lot of Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar, there's no flash. Yeah, Brock Lesnar has pyro and these guys don't. But whenever these guys come to the ring, they always feel like they're there for a fight. They're there for a payday. They feel like they're legitimate fighters. Now, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with having charisma and being entertaining with the crowd, but what I love so much about Enzo and Cass versus the Revival is that they're complete contrasts of one another. Their characters clash so much, and that creates such a great in-ring match. It creates such great in-ring chemistry between them because they're so different. The match itself was also fantastic. Enzo Amore gets beat down a lot of this match, constantly trying to make a tag to Colin Cassidy, who every time he gets in the ring just mows down both guys. I love this. This is classic tag team wrestling where you have a big guy and a small guy. With Dash and Dawson, they're both pretty much the same size, and they're both heavy hitters, and that's what I love about them, that no matter who is in the ring, Enzo Amore is desperately trying to reach the tag. It's not like when one guy's in the ring, he has an easier time. They're both difficult for him. That was a great way of telling a story. They didn't really tease any dissension between Enzo and Cass, which I love. I love the fact that they're keeping these guys strong as a team and not letting the fact that Colin Cassidy's not getting in the match. They're not letting that get to him, and they're not teasing any dissension, so they're not planning on breaking these guys up anytime soon, and that, in my opinion, is a good thing. WWE needs to keep these really over tag teams, not just in NXT. They need to bring them over to the main roster because the tag team division has been lacking in the last few years, and Enzo and Cass would be a breath of fresh air just for the simple fact alone, if for nothing else, that whenever they walk through that curtain, the crowd is immediately into it. They had a fantastic match to boot. The Revival ended up scoring the pin on Enzo Amore with, I'm not sure what that move is called. I didn't hear the announcer say its name. Maybe they did. I'm gonna have to go back and watch that again. But man, it reminds me a lot of the Legion of Doom when Hawk would lift up the guy on his shoulders, and Animal would jump off the top rope and do a clothesline, damn near taking the victim's head off. I loved that move, and I really got some vibes from that with this move. I think it was Dash picks up Enzo, setting in a fireman's carry, and Dawson jumps off the top rope and he grabs Enzo's head, and he does almost what looks like a code breaker, something out of Chris Jericho's book. Gets that for the pin. Fantastic match. No dissension teased between any team. Revival retains the NXT tag team titles, and I imagine there's probably going to be an NXT title match or an NXT tag title match maybe on the pre-show to WrestleMania. If Enzo and Cass are going to be on WrestleMania, if they're going to be featured on the card, I would hope that they have a rematch for the NXT tag titles, and I would hope that they win them there. I was talking a lot with my friends about how I wanted Enzo and Cass to win the titles, but I didn't want them to win it here. This is not the show to do it. On a throwaway show like Roadblock, that now that it's over, is not going to be looked at as a very monumental show to begin with. Not a lot really happened. I wouldn't want a team as over as Enzo and Cass, which I would hope have a big future in WWE, to win their first NXT tag titles on a show like this. I'd want them to win it at WrestleMania. Yeah, we'd have to wait a little bit longer, but just like with Daniel Bryan when he got screwed out of the title all those times, in years past, think about how great it was when he finally won the title at WrestleMania. We could have that exact same notion with Enzo and Cass when they actually beat the Revival for the NXT tag titles at WrestleMania. If that's the direction WWE is going to go in, I think it would lead to a lot of good things for Enzo and Cass. It would definitely put them on the map and solidify them as legitimate players, and who knows, maybe then they could take the NXT tag titles, maybe go back to NXT and lose them there so that now they can compete against the New Day for the WWE tag team titles. Imagine the promos between Enzo and Cass and the New Day. WWE, get on that. Give these guys the NXT tag titles so they can gain some momentum and then take the belts off of them so they can enter a feud with the New Day. That right there is printed money, I can guarantee it. So, Revival versus Enzo and Cass, great match. In my opinion, up until that point, match of the night. Up next, we had a Divas Championship match, Natalya taking on Charlotte, with Ric Flair in her corner as always. You know what, I gotta say, the women wrestlers in WWE have improved so much over the last few years, it is stunning. I mean, a few years ago, who were the wrestlers that we had? We had Summer Rae, Eva Marie, just the fact that I can't even remember who the wrestlers were in the last, 4 or 5 years, that just goes to show you how weak the Divas division was. These women were awful in the ring. They could never put on a good match. And then you had what we know as the Divas Revolution, which some would say has kind of fallen flat on its face, but I would say it's picking up a little bit of steam now. You have wrestlers like Natalya, who were kind of lost in the shuffle in the past, and now she's finally, I think she's finally being seen as a more legitimate wrestler. Just the fact that she's given an a Divas title match on a show like this. I hope they don't do nothing with her after this, because it was a fantastic match, which I'll get into in a minute. You have wrestlers like Charlotte, like Sasha Banks, like Becky Lynch, like Bayley, like Tamina, which I really wish they would start calling her Tamina Snuka again. I don't like the fact that they're distancing herself from Jimmy Snuka. I don't care that he got in trouble with the law. Listen, Jimmy Snuka is a legend, and to have that name carry over to Tamina would do nothing but good things for her, especially in the eyes of older fans who remember Jimmy Snuka from back in the day. And then you have someone like Nia Jax, who I don't like what they're doing with her in NXT. I wish they built her more like a monster. I wish they gave her a Brock Lesnar push. A female Brock Lesnar would have been really cool for the NXT women's division, and then following into the Divas division on the main roster. I think it would have done a lot of good things. But whatever, they ended up jobbing Nia Jax out a lot when she first came in. The fact that she lost to Bayley, I didn't like. I wish she dominated her. I mean, it was for the women's title, so it could have ended in a DQ, but man, I'm getting really off track here. Let's get back to Charlotte and Natalya. This, in my opinion, is what women's wrestling is all about. Storytelling, a technical matchup, great spots, and overall, I walked away from this match with the result that I thought was going to happen. Charlotte did end up beating Natalya for the Divas title, not even needing Ric Flair really, because she grabbed Ric Flair's hands when she was in the sharpshooter, which Natalya had on her, but Ric Flair didn't actually do anything. All Ric Flair really did was distract Natalya, but really that's Natalya's own fault for getting distracted. Charlotte was able to roll her up, she was able to get her legs on the ropes, and walk away with the pin. Now, again, while this was a fantastic match, and I'm very proud of both of them for putting on such a great match under the immense pressure of, the fact that the Divas division has basically sucked for the last few years, I can imagine what that's got to do to you mentally when you're going out there and you have to basically reinvent the entire Divas division, because wrestlers like Trish Stratus and Lita aren't there anymore. They're not there to make, to keep the women's wrestling legitimate. Even Mickie James, who also was a great women's wrestler, it's not that you have big shoes to fill, you have just shoes to fill. There's no one that's been putting the women's wrestling on the map as of late, with the exception of NXT. I mean, Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch, in my opinion, the stuff they've been doing on the main roster has been absolutely incredible. They, in addition to Charlotte and Natalya, and even Bayley has not showed up on the main roster yet. She's been busy defending the NXT women's title in NXT. These women on their own have done more for women's wrestling than all the women's wrestlers in the last 4 to 5 years could possibly do for women's wrestling. They've done a fantastic job putting on great matches, telling great stories, and getting over with the fans. That's a big thing that I talk about whenever I talk about wrestling. You have to be over with the fans, whether you're a face or a heel. And all of these women, faces and heels, they've all gotten over with the fans in their own way. With the exception of Eva Marie being shown on NXT. I mean, she is as I don't know what the opposite of over is, but she has just been as rejected could be. Now, at the beginning of the match, Charlotte told Natalya that she shouldn't dedicate this match to her uncle Brett. Now, Natalya, Natalya, let me back up a little bit, because I'm really getting off track here. I apologize for this. Natalya said that she's dedicating this match to Bret the Hitman Hart, one of her relatives, who was recently diagnosed with prostate cancer, went in for surgery, and managed to survive. I believe it was a tumor that was removed from his body, and most of the cancer cells were removed as well. He went through treatment, and he has completely survived prostate cancer, and he is alright. So Natalya was given this match in her home country of Canada, dedicating the match to Bret Hart for the Divas title. On paper, this looks like an easy win for Natalya, because it's going to be a nice feel-good moment. And then Charlotte says, when I beat you, you're going to be a disappointment like the rest of the Hart family. Something like that. So, what ended up happening? They went out there, they had a damn good match. Charlotte ended up cheating to win and basically killed the momentum of that pre-match promo. Now, again, it was just a pre-match promo. They weren't, running a program. There wasn't really anything big going on between them. But at the same time, I wish that they at least had the match where Natalya at least had her beat. She didn't really have her beat. It's not like she was tapping and the ref didn't see it or the ref was down. She didn't beat her clean. The fact that she had to use the ropes proves that she didn't beat her clean, but I don't know. I think a program with Charlotte and Natalya would have done some really good things for women's wrestling, especially because they're both fantastic wrestlers, especially Natalya. She is fantastic. She has that heart blood in her. So she could definitely work a program with Charlotte, and I think the fans would be okay with it, but that's not going to happen because Charlotte now has a triple threat match with Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. Unless Natalya can work herself into that match and make it a fatal four-way, I really feel like WWE is going to drop the ball with Natalya quite a lot, and they're going to do it again. Just because of the fact that they were in Canada, I fear was the only reason they gave her this match to begin with. But not to take anything away from the match itself was fantastic. As expected, these women have been doing a great job in all of their matches. I have not seen a bad Divas match compared to what we've seen in the past few years in quite a while. These women are doing a damn good job. Stephanie McMahon hit the nail on the head when she said that there is a surge in women's wrestling. And while some people may not like it, I love what they're doing with the Divas. I don't like the fact that they call them Divas. I wish they would just call them women wrestlers. But these women wrestlers have been doing a fantastic job putting women's wrestling back on the map, and hopefully the Divas match can be high on the card at WrestleMania, because I think that's where it deserves to be, because that triple threat match is going to be excellent. So, Charlotte versus Natalya, great match, let's move on. The next match on the card, and this is where I may get a little bit controversial, and people may not like what I have to say about this. Brock Lesnar versus Bray Wyatt. Now, alright, that's what the match was advertised to be on the WWE app, on WWE.com. In interviews, we were told we were going to get Brock Lesnar and Bray Wyatt at Roadblock. At the last second, what did we get? Brock Lesnar versus the Wyatt family, consisting of Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper, saying that it was going to be a handicap match. Now I'm thinking, alright, so they're going to use this to get Brock over a little bit more, make him look a little bit stronger, the fact that there's two guys and they still can't beat him. But mainly, all I wanted to see was Brock Lesnar and Bray Wyatt. That's what I thought was going to happen at WrestleMania. I mean, remember, the Wyatt family removed Brock Lesnar from the Royal Rumble after Brock Lesnar removed every member of the Wyatt family. And then, the next night on Raw, nothing happens. Nothing happens. You would think Brock Lesnar wanted to rip these fuckers' heads off, but he didn't. He completely ignored it. Even in the Royal Rumble, he just walked to the back. That is so unlike Brock Lesnar. You would think Brock Lesnar would be running back in the ring, German suplexing every single one of those hick fucks until the ring collapsed, but that didn't happen. He walked to the back of the ring, and I'm thinking, or rather the back of the stage, and I'm thinking, okay, they're gonna build this for a match at WrestleMania. Maybe the next night on Raw, he'll come out and attack Bray Wyatt, or maybe the Wyatts will attack him again. That never happened either. Then we had the match at Fastlane. between Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, and Brock Lesnar. And the winner goes on to face Triple H for the world title at WrestleMania. Now, a lot of people were predicting this the same way I did, and we all got it wrong. We all said that Roman Reigns was going to pin Dean Ambrose to win the match, which he did. But we were all saying, how are we supposed to believe that Brock Lesnar isn't going to be there to break up the pin or get the pin himself? We all said that the Wyatt family was going to attack Brock Lesnar, following up on on screwing him at the Royal Rumble, and that would then set up a match at WrestleMania. That didn't happen either, and I think WWE realized that they dropped the ball on what would be a great feud, so they just decided, screw it, let's have the match at this throwaway show like Roadblock, and then on top of that, so we're going to actually give the fans the match they want. It's not going to be on the grandest stage of them all, so it's not going to have that momentum, but then on top of that, the match finally starts. It's a handicap match, and Luke Harper is immediately tagged in. He takes, what was it, I think, 13, 14 German suplexes in F5, and then gets pinned. Bray Wyatt wasn't even in the match at all. Now, maybe they're setting this up for something else, but I gotta say, if I paid money to go to this show, and that was one of the matches I was expecting to see, I would have been really bitter about that. Now, there is a possibility that they're going to build Brock Lesnar and Bray Wyatt for something else, but Brock Lesnar has a match with Dean Ambrose at WrestleMania. It's a no-holds-barred street fight in which there's no disqualifications, so if the Wyatt family got involved, it would be legal, the match wouldn't stop. So they could obviously do something like that at WrestleMania if they really want to push Brock Lesnar and Bray Wyatt for a feud, but the problem is there's already a feud going on between Brock Lesnar and Dean Ambrose for WrestleMania, so are they really going to interrupt one feud to start another? What I think might happen, and this is what worries me, I said to all of my friends in the past, I mean, obviously this is the first time I'm going on record on Coed Gaming to talk about wrestling, but I gotta put this out there. I am predicting that Brock Lesnar is going to lose at WrestleMania to Dean Ambrose. I think what they're doing is they're building Brock Lesnar up as much as they can, and Dean Ambrose, being the crazy son of a bitch that he is not going to stay down against Brock Lesnar. Not at WrestleMania. They're not going to have a squash match at WrestleMania. I just can't see that happening. So I said that Dean Ambrose is going to find a way to pull out the victory against Brock Lesnar. I just don't know how, but I think he's going to do it. Now that this match has happened and Bray Wyatt tucked his tail between his legs and ran away from Brock Lesnar, now all of a sudden it's like, okay, so what exactly are they, what are they doing with Bray Wyatt and Brock Lesnar? What are they going to do here? Is Bray Wyatt really going to interfere with the match between Dean Ambrose and Brock at WrestleMania and screw Brock Lesnar and Dean Ambrose gets the victory that way? While that would be good for storyline and it would set up a feud between Bray and Brock for another pay-per-view, what it does is it undermines the feud between Ambrose and Lesnar, and it seems like Ambrose is just there. It's like he doesn't even play a part anymore. And then on top of that, if Brock Lesnar actually lost to Dean Ambrose at WrestleMania with the help of the Wyatt family, it makes the loss mean nothing. I have said countless times that when Brock Lesnar loses his first match since coming back and being given this monster push, it has to be clean. Because the first loss that he has, it's going to be counted as his first loss, his first pinfall. But if it's not clean, it's going to undermine the pin. And then Paul Heyman can come back out and say, Brock Lesnar didn't lose fair. It took 4 or 5 guys to make it happen. So that loss didn't mean anything. And I would agree with him. If Dean Ambrose is going to beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, he has to beat him clean. But I'm worried now that there's going to be something involved with the Wyatt family. And if the Wyatt family get involved in that match and they screw Brock Lesnar and Dean Ambrose beats him, the match is probably going to be great. It's probably going to be great for storyline. I'm sure Dean and Brock are going to have a great match. But if the finish involves Brock Lesnar losing because of an interference and he doesn't lose clean, then it's not going to make Dean Ambrose look as good as it could if he beat him clean, and it's still going to make Brock look like a strong, unstoppable beast. And it's WrestleMania time. If there's ever a time for the beast to go down clean, it's WrestleMania. So maybe WWE doesn't go through with it, and they don't have the Wyatt family interfere at WrestleMania against Brock Lesnar. Which begs the question, what was the point of this match in the first place? You advertise a match between Brock Lesnar and Bray Wyatt. You give us, in a sense, Brock Lesnar versus Luke Harper. And then Brock Lesnar runs away. Obviously, they're teasing something else between them. Well, listen, there's no pay-per-view between now and WrestleMania. So unless they're going to have a match on Raw, which would really be anticlimactic, is that really how they're going to do it? Either they're going to have a match on one of the Raws leading up to WrestleMania, or the Wyatt family is going to interfere with the match at WrestleMania and screw Brock Lesnar, and Dean Ambrose is going to get the win. But if they do, and that would obviously set up a match between Brock and Bray at another pay-per-view. The problem is, a match like that between Brock and Bray, that is WrestleMania worthy, just like Brock and Dean is. But it's like they're trying to juggle two feuds at once, and I feel like they're gonna end up pushing one feud at the risk of the other, and I don't know. There's so much going on between these three wrestlers, between Brock Lesnar, Bray Wyatt, and Dean Ambrose. The fact that they all have each other on their radar. Bray Wyatt has Brock Lesnar on the radar, and Dean Ambrose and Brock Lesnar have each other on the radar. So I can't see the Wyatt family not getting involved at WrestleMania. But if they do, I feel like it's going to screw up the momentum of the match, and it's going to make Dean Ambrose's predicted win not mean as much. But if they don't get involved, then again, it begs the question, what was the point of Luke Harper taking that beating and Bray Wyatt running away in the first place? I wasn't very happy with this match. I was not happy with the story that they told. They have time before WrestleMania to build something, but usually I can figure out what they're going to do here, and I have no idea what's supposed to happen. Alright, enough ranting, let's get back on track. Our next match was an impromptu match between Sami Zayn and Stardust. Now, again, Sami Zayn from Canada, so he was obviously going to get a big crowd pop from this crowd in Toronto. But against Stardust, I mean, this is a match that you have on SmackDown. This was not a match, in my opinion, that was deserving of being on this network special. Don't get me wrong, it was a fantastic match. Stardust is great, Cody Rhodes is awesome, and Sami Zayn, again, puts on great matches whenever he's in NXT, very over with the crowd. They put on a great match. It's just the idea of this match being on a network special, broadcasting from Toronto. I mean, did they really make this match happen just because Sami Zayn is from Toronto and they wanted to give him that moment? I don't know. I mean, again, the match was completely thrown together. Great match. Don't get me wrong. Great match. I'm not saying that the match was bad. I don't want people in the comments saying that I hate Sami Zayn or I hate Stardust or I hated the match. I love both guys and the match was fantastic. It's just the fact that it was so impromptu, so thrown together. It didn't make any sense at all. And the fact that Sami Zayn was on the show, I mean, I was so sure that at some point during this match, we were going to get some kind of a run-in with Kevin Owens. But that didn't happen either. So you have Kevin Owens, who is feuding with Sami Zayn right now. I mean, they already had a run-in on Raw a little while ago. It's pretty clear that they're going to build a match with them at WrestleMania. But if that's the case, I mean, what are they going to do? Is it going to be for the Intercontinental Championship? Are they going to do a multi-man match? I mean, there's a lot they could do here, but the fact that Kevin Owens did not interfere with this match, and I was so sure that was going to happen. When I was watching this match and Sami Zayn pulled out the win on Stardust, which he did, I was thinking, okay, so they gave him his moment, and now Kevin Owens is going to come out and he's going to attack him, and it's going to be this great moment between two Canadians in Toronto. You got this big feud going on. They had a rivalry in NXT, and now they're going to make it, they're going to realize it even more on the main roster. They already had a run-in on Raw, like I said, so this could just build, it could just add fuel to the fire for their inevitable match at WrestleMania, but that never happened either, so I don't know what the hell WWE is thinking. A big missed opportunity there. I really wish that they did a better job of just building up the Kevin Owens Sami Zayn match for WrestleMania. We know it's gonna happen, so this was a prime opportunity in Canada to have both guys have a run-in with each other and build up the match even more, but unfortunately that never happened. But still, a great match between Sami Zayn and Stardust. Good on both guys. They did a great job. Let's move on. Moving on to the main event of the evening. Dean Ambrose in a WWE World Heavyweight Championship match against Triple H. This match seemed like a pretty open and shut case. It didn't make sense for Dean Ambrose to walk out of here with the belt this close to WrestleMania. I imagine they did this match just to build up Dean Ambrose. I mean, Triple H doesn't need any building up. He's already a legend. He's a future Hall of Famer. He's a 14-time world champion. But I imagine they wanted to make Dean Ambrose look really good going into his match against Brock Lesnar. Even though Triple H did come out with the win, like I thought he would, they did a really good job of telling a story here. And what I mean by that is, there was one point where Dean Ambrose hit Triple H with his finisher, and as he's pinning him, Dean Ambrose's legs slip underneath the bottom rope, and the ref counts 3. And the second he does, he realizes the mistake he made because Dean's legs were under the ropes, so he calls off the victory. You even hear his hand hit the mat on the 3rd count, which was incredible. I can't believe the microphones picked that up. And he says, the match is not over. Your legs were under the rope, so the pin did not count. We're going to keep going. But what that did was it established in storyline that Dean Ambrose can beat Triple H. I imagine he's going to mention that on Monday Night Raw, which by the time this airs will already have played. But this is just talking about Roadblock. So what exactly are we dealing with here? We're dealing with Dean Ambrose, who, again, put on a hell of a match, got really close to beating Triple H, but ended up still losing. So I imagine on Monday Night Raw, he's going to come out there, and he's going to say that, yeah, I pretty much beat you, and I want in to the match at WrestleMania. I want this to be a Fatal 4-Way. Or a Fatal... What the hell am I talking about, Fatal 4-Way? A triple threat match. I don't know why I thought Brock Lesnar was in this match. Man, I'm very tired. It's early when I'm recording this. I apologize. I have not had anything to eat today. So, Dean Ambrose can easily say, listen, I all but beat you. I pinned you. I got the 3 count. It's just where I was in the ring made it so it didn't count. I beat you. As far as technically is concerned, I beat you, but it just wasn't official. So, he's probably going to demand that he get inserted into the main event of WrestleMania, and it could become Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, and Triple H for the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, this could be seen as an easy out for WWE. I mean, if Triple H beats Roman Reigns for the world title at WrestleMania in the main event, it's going to be severely underwhelming, and no one is going to care. No one's going to care about it. It's going to be a really, again, an underwhelming victory. It's going to kill all the momentum that Roman Reigns has been building up. And it's just going to be like, so that's it. That's how we close a 100,000 person packed show with Triple H retaining the title and the authority coming out on top? No, of course not. Roman Reigns is going to beat Triple H for the World Heavyweight title. But if they do that, remember, Roman Reigns is not over with the fans. The fans do not like him, even though he's supposed to be a babyface. The fans are not going to accept Roman Reigns winning the title against Triple H on this grand of a stage, especially with how over Triple H is as a legend. Roman Reigns has not built up that reputation yet. He's not over with the fans. He was for a little bit, but that momentum hasn't carried through. So what I imagine they're going to do, if Dean Ambrose manages to slip his way into the world title picture at WrestleMania, that could mean that if Dean Ambrose wins the world title, they escape the underwhelming victory of Triple H winning, and they escape all the fans burning the fucking building down to the ground if Roman Reigns wins. And if Dean Ambrose walks away with a victory, he's over with the crowd, he walks away with the belt, the fans would probably be okay with that. But at the same time, you gotta remember, Dean Ambrose has a match with Brock Lesnar. So Paul Heyman could say, wait a minute, Dean Ambrose gets thrown into the world title match at WrestleMania? Well, that means Brock Lesnar doesn't have an opponent. And Brock Lesnar, it's in his contract that he gets a match with Dean Ambrose. Now, Dean Ambrose is in a match, so that would mean that Brock Lesnar gets inserted into the match with Dean Ambrose, meaning it's now a fatal 4-way for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship in the main event of WrestleMania. That is one thing that they could do. I mean, they don't need to, but I don't think it would make a massive difference in the show's finish if Roman Reigns is still gonna be the champion by the end of the night. It would still be fun to see. It would get more people interested. It would create new scenarios where someone could win. I mean, imagine that. In front of 100,000 people, Triple H, Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, and Brock Lesnar. Imagine the marquee value of that. Imagine the promos that would go on between those 4 guys at WrestleMania. I mean, when's the last time we had a fatal 4-way match to decide the world champion in the main event of WrestleMania? What was it, WrestleMania 2000, I think was the last time it happened. I can't think of another one since then. if that's the match that they went with, I think that would actually do a lot of good things for WWE. The fans would be into it. Brock Lesnar's over. Dean Ambrose is over. Triple H is over. Roman Reigns is not over. So you'd have this weird mixture of guys that are over and guys that are not, and the guy that's not over is the one that's projected to win. The crowd's going to be shitting their pants at this. They would be so into this main event because every near fall would mean something to them, because it's an opportunity for Roman Reigns to not walk out as champion. WWE, if you want to build a main event where people are talking, that's the main event to do it. Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, Triple H, and Brock Lesnar for the world title in the main event of WrestleMania. So my overall thoughts on Roadblock, and other people have said this too, it was a glorified house show. I can't think of much else to say about it. It was a glorified house show. Yeah, it had good matches. It told decent storylines, but nothing really moved forward. It wasn't like a pay-per-view where we got story development. I didn't feel like by the end of this pay-per-view that much of the story on anyone's front was moved forward. Brock Lesnar and Bray Wyatt, I feel like we got nowhere. And Dean Ambrose and Triple H, unless something big happens on Monday Night Raw and they build either a triple threat or a fatal four-way match at WrestleMania, I feel like that match would not have gotten us anywhere, and it was just a filler match until WrestleMania, and I really hope that's not the case, because I love Dean Ambrose, and I love Triple H, I love Brock Lesnar, and yeah, I like Roman Reigns. I like what they're doing with him. I like the fact that they're giving him a little bit more freedom. He's gotten a little bit more aggressive, but he still needs to connect with the fans if he's going to be taken seriously as a world champion. So WWE still has time to, remedy all of these things, but there is still time till WrestleMania. They could make things better. They could make things worse. Who knows? I'm going to stay optimistic and say that they're going to make things right. I think that WrestleMania is going to be a great show, and Roadblock, I imagine, is just going to be a forgotten show that didn't make a lot happen. It's going to be the Raws leading up to WrestleMania where all the magic happens. So those are my thoughts on Roadblock, and this has been my first video talking about wrestling on Coed Gaming, and looking at the timer, man, I've been talking about this for a long time. So guys, if you like what you've heard from me talking about wrestling, feel free to leave your comments below. Tell me if you want me to talk about wrestling more. If you guys want, I will come back up and talk about WrestleMania when it passes. I have no problem talking about that. Yeah, it's not exactly gaming related, but guess what? IGN talks about it. Other gaming websites talk about it. Why not us? Why don't we get a piece of the pie? Why don't we step in there and talk about something that people obviously love? I mean, this is something that I'm passionate about. This is something that I've loved for so long that I think reaching out to our fans with this new type of content, talking about wrestling, it could be something that gets more people watching, and it could be something that gets us, more interaction with our fans. That's what we love. We love interacting with our fans. And if you guys like what you've heard, please let us know. If you want to hear more, please let us know. If you don't want me to ever talk about this again, let us know. Just give us your feedback and we will act accordingly. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please make sure to check out the rest of Coed Gaming, and until next time, take it easy. What's up guys, thanks so much for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed that video. If you haven't gotten a chance to already, make sure to check out last week's video, which can be found right here. Also, if you haven't gotten a chance to already, make sure to like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter. And while you're at it, make sure to check out the rest of Coed Gaming, where we upload gaming videos every single week. And as always, game on.